quickly. So if we move on to the secondary roads outline, this is something, this page is not new, but I do like to put it in. Sometimes people are unaware that at secondary roads, we have about 135 miles of paved roads that we take care of, and about 750 gravel or dirt roads, miles of gravel or dirt roads, and 200 bridges. So there's a lot out there.
When you call them a bridge, is what we call bridges, or are you using that distance requirement?
There's like 175 20-foot bridges, and then another, 50, 60 that are smaller, depending on how small you stop. So back in the day, it used to be 200, but I made 20 of them in the culverts.
Wow, but we still call them bridges.
Well, you can rough it around 200.
Okay.
We have 36 employees, 10 motor grader routes, which is what is shown there in the picture by different colors, and 10 snow routes. So there is a lot out there. If we move on to the funding guide, this is also something that is just a good fetch for new and existing board supervisors too. But at secondary roads, we essentially have 5 or 6 piggy banks that we can draw from. Each piggy bank has their own set of rules on what we can and cannot do. Down below is kind of a run through of that. So local money, which comes from some gas money from the state, and then the rest of it comes from you guys, and we can do anything we want with that money, almost anything we want. Farm to market money, that comes from the state, can be used on farm to market roads. So that farm to market roads includes most paved roads, and then the more popular gravel roads. I have a list in the office, but that's the rock map. But yeah,
Mine seems to be the most popular.
Yep, you would have a farm to market there, that's a farm to market. About every, I don't know, I'd say 3 miles, you have a farm to market road. But really, our FM funds that we get, we've, up till this last year, we've spent a lot of it paving our paved road system. And now we use some of it for gravel too, but we'll get into that later. HBP funds, it's our bridge funds that kind of federal aid, and there are some certain requirements on which bridges we can and cannot replace. STIP funds, that comes, we're able to pave roads or do major bridges that are on major roads. And then our TIF money, which is kind of what I call our windmill money, that has certain rules attached to that too. So, and we'll touch on this later, but I just wanted to, each of these piggy banks has different rules. So we can't just, why can't you do this or that? We do have rules for each of them. If we go on, so let's just kind of go what we've spent. I'm going to go through some of the piggy banks here real quick and what we spent money on over the past year. So the first one I want to touch on is our FM funds. So for our FM funds, we get about $1 million a year. You can carry some over, or you can go 5 years into the red. So we're allowed to go up to like $5 million in the hole. But so July of 24, we had negative $2.5 million. We're going to get our 1.3 million. That's what we get annually. I maybe said $1 million, but it's 1.3. And this year, we spend some of that money to finish paying for V66. We're going to spend just short of $200,000 on F67. And then we are going to spend $700,000 in the spring for rock. So that's how we're allocating the money this year. And I do want to say that, that B66, this was on there last year, but we did get close to $500,000 in a grant to make those lanes 12 foot wide. And our plan for the future, for the upcoming future, is to only spend our FM money on gravel roads and save the rest. And it's our windmill money for the next couple of years that'll be paving roads. Okay. Our bridge funds, over the course of this next year, we have 1.2 million in the bank. We're gonna get close to another million. It'll put us at the end of the year around 2 million. We don't have any bridge fund projects scheduled for this next year. The bridge that we are doing this next year is coming out of the TIF fund. So after that, we will be doing about 2 bridges a year. It's also kind of good, I think, when we get this fund built up to like 2 million, because we lost out on some grant money last year because we didn't have enough to do our, even though it starts at 20% share, it usually ends up around 50. So
if we get the B Avenue money and we have the match, we can't pull out of this, right?
nope, this is bridges. Nope, we won't be pulling out of this.
But I think what you're saying is for 411 out here, when it comes time for that applicable grant again, we'll have money in the till potentially to help match that.
We would have a little bit. They
Right.
wanted 10 million from us, or
Right.
8 million. This
So
is
we need
only
to
2. But if we get something similar to that, whether it be the one near Costi, or whether it be
Costing.
the one, it's E5005, the one down west of Butler Hill on that paved road, those are 2 options. And plus, we can, like I said, we can always spend money.
That was gonna take some major federal money.
Right,
Yeah.
but we had to have a grant, a percentage to match
Right,
that.
but the pool that we have to put together to make the match on that one, I think people flip over. We sit here with a reserve of $5 million.
But
Yeah,
if
we
you have
wouldn't be allowed to have that much.
Mm-mm.
We really wouldn't, but let's just say if something comes up this spring where we want to do the Costi Bridge, now you got something for that. But also our plan is to continue on doing 2 bridges a year after this year. So it's money can always be spent pretty fast. And just so happens that the one that we usually would spend money on this year, we're gonna use the TIF fund, so it just gets saved up a little bit.
Okay, so for Steph's benefit, what's the projected length to term of that 411 bridge out north of Marengo? What did we say, 20 years, 10 years?
Yeah, probably 10, 20 years.
10 or 20?
Yeah.
One of the 2.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, so we had a potential for a big federal grant to help with that, but we didn't have enough matching funds to get to that. It would have steamrolled us.
Yeah, it could be, that bridge is probably anywhere from a $15 to $20 million bridge.
Not that it'd be important to you.
Not only him, yeah, a lot of people. but,
It's huge.
So,
But it's hard to save up the matching, just how the rules are required.
yeah, minimum always a minimum of 20%. And then the more you can match. So I think and then that doesn't include the engineering or surveying or inspections of all of it. So even though we would have had a good match, our end of it still would have been like 9 million.
I mean, it may be something we'll have to bond for or
That's
something.
what I was gonna say, that's kind of the reality of
But
it.
it's gotta be done in the next 5-year plan to figure out where we're gonna go. It'd be nice to have Costi done ahead of time, so we got the contingency bridge then if that, but you were looking at building one side by side, weren't you?
Yeah, we gotta go around.
Yeah, I don't think you would have that closed for 2 years.
Yeah,
Just because of fire and ambulance.
yeah, so we'd have to go side by side.
So the TIF funds, if we go to the next page, you guys had set up a TIF fund account for a couple of years ago. And we completed 2 of the projects this year, a bridge on H Avenue, and then we went around the corner on 190th and put in a box culvert. Below was the pictures, you could see that we took that bridge and made it into the bridge on the lower right. So we have 6 projects planned, but 3 of them will be done this upcoming summer. The bridge on D Avenue, just north of the interstate, H Avenue, all the way down to Millersburg, and then 265th, which goes out to St. John's Church. So those are our 3 lap projects for this next upcoming year. And then the year after, we will go to F-52 Trail. And then that'll conclude our first round of TIF funding. But you can see there that your money is going to good use. And that's what we're spending that on. And then local funds, this is for fiscal year 25. So this is only what we've done after July 1st. But our guys put together essentially 2 of these aluminum culverts there that you see in the upper left picture. And then the bridge in the lower right, that's the one that you guys just did a box letting for. You see how that cap is rolled kind of on the lower one? That's why it's at 3 tons.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, this summer, our guys did excellent. They took 6 of these. If you look at the picture on the lower right, they took like 6 of these. Yeah, 6 of them, and made them into bridges, culverts, aluminum box culverts. So we got 6 of these very low tonnage bridges off of the system this year, and that was all thanks to our secondary crew. They've been doing outstanding, really good. I don't even show up anymore. They just know exactly what to do. And
So you're saying they could get
Ready
rid
to
of
do.
engineers?
yes, yeah.
They,
I don't think you should.
we had great weather too, but they did a phenomenal job.
Or you can probably lower his cost a little bit, right?
Yeah.
How many of those were rail car boxes?
We railroad cars.
Yeah,
We don't do those anymore.
you don't.
No. The only reason we did some back in 2013 is because they were laying in the ditch when I got here. But those are posted at 28 tons with the new regulations through the state.
Before Nick, we used to have to pay outside engineering, which like double the cost of the bridge.
Oh my,
So we went with railroad cars because we could speed up the process and get it cheaper.
Yeah.
And now we put I call them a regular bridge in for almost the same money as a rail car bridge.
So if you go back a page, this bridge replaced this bridge, what did that do for the tonnage then?
It took the tonnage, I don't know. We're gonna say that last one was around 12 tons. Which one is that?
1039.
That's 1039. It was 15 tons, and now it's a legal load. So there is no postage. It's in this bridge. But it was 15 before.
Yeah, this one doesn't look like it would hold up a hell of a lot, that's for sure. Where's this bridge at?
That's on 150th Street up here in Honey Creek. And it's actually now down to 3 tons. So yeah, I really wanted to do, for the local funds, I wanted to do a nice shout out to our guys for that. And then the other thing that our guys have done really well, you probably see them out there this year, is crack sealing on all the roads. If we would have been this out in the last 2 years, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And our guys have spent a lot of time this summer getting a lot of that sealed up. And so they have, it's hot work, but they have saved you a lot of money doing that. And hopefully we get longer life out of the roads now. But they went through so much material and saved a bunch of money there. So, again, yeah, if you see them or see them out there, tell them good job. And then the other thing I was trying to save money is this W-21 grant. You know, I'm excited for it. Sounds promising, but we are waiting. So let's still cross our fingers and hope for the best. Now, I usually include these next couple sheets. It's the income, the expenses, just because if you guys need to ever refer to how much money actually goes in and out, you could see it there. But I won't bore you with all of it, but line number 2 for the income, you can see the receipts from property taxes is 1.3 million. It's been that way, it's been that exact number for 12 years. Okay. Our local option sales tax, that varies from year to year. And I have a note at the bottom that actually this time, November this year compared to November last year, we are down $60,000. So it's not, that number has not kept up with inflation either. Bridge funds and miscellaneous receipts, those change from year to year depending on what we spend for construction. So the more important number is going to be that graph there that shows less bridge funds and reimbursements. You can see that we're not going up nearly as fast as we would like. Now fiscal 25 this year shows 300,000 less than last year. They usually under budget us a little bit. I'm hoping that we're at least very similar, but and as you can see from the chart below that, I wanted to show that we are very, very close this year to what we got last year. So again, when you add inflation on $3 million, our revenue is not keeping up. But we'll touch on that in a minute. Here's our expenses. The chart down below kind of takes out new construction. New construction, however much sometimes we spend on construction, that affects the income. So, that's the more important line, and you can see that number goes up quite a bit. Next year it'll be going up a little bit more too, because I probably need to buy some trucks. So the summary page here shows our balances, kind of puts it all together. It shows the balances. So we're projecting the end. We started the year with $4.3 million. We're projecting to end somewhere around 4. I would guess that we probably even end up a little above 4.3. So I'm going to guess we're probably about break even this year. And I show that down below with our balances. We have accumulated $700,000 over the course of the past year. I know that there's been questions before, not to me, but to you guys, you know, what is a fair amount to save or have in the bank for secondary roads? So I did some research on that. We have not exactly, but we have roughly 6 months worth sitting in the bank, 6 months of expenses. Is it 6 or 3?
Just your carryover funds.
Yeah, that is exactly in the middle of every other county in the state. Like we rank 50th, 45th to 55th. You know, we're carrying over exactly what everybody else does. So
Good. That's good to know.
And I wish I had the exact months in I haven't looked at it in a few months, but I think it was 6 or 4, whatever it is. It's the exact average of everybody else. So
Where do you find that information? Is that from like ISTAT or engineering?
Yeah, the
.com
Iowa County
or what?
Service Bureau, they put out a spreadsheet of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tabs of all numbers from every county. And so I can find certain numbers that I want and then make my own little tab there and go with that. Yeah. Okay, so besides the numbers here, I want to say that you guys do a very good job of providing secondary roads with adequate money. You know, we thank you. There are other counties out there that the board does not support them, some of the less rich counties, and they don't get enough money. So with the TIF, we are very thankful. Our issue is going to be that TIF money only covers a few projects. This goes back to that whole piggy bank thing. So we're going to have to get a little creative on how we use each piggy bank to pay for each thing. So if you go to the next page, it kind of shows the piggy banks. On the far right, let's start there with that TIF money. We're plentiful. This pays for next year, like I said, the paving of 2 different roads and a bridge. But that's all it can pay for. The money we did get from the state, they've also, you know, they've got their rules, and for that one, we get what we get. Now, our local funds, this is where it's going to get tight. Remember, I showed you a few slides back that lost money that's not gone up, has not followed inflation in years. We get 1.3 million from you guys. That stayed same for 12 years. So that is where we're getting tight. And you can see that what that pays for.
It
You know,
doesn't
that,
pay for all the salaries though.
what's that?
It doesn't pay, there wouldn't be enough to even pay the salaries out of that fund. Would there?
Yeah, we get them. So some of this also not only comes from you guys, but some comes from the state too. For
Yeah.
local money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we pay all the salaries out of. So we pay salaries. Used to be, well, and a lot of it pays for gravel and gravel roads. Our new equipment, $400,000 motor graders, you know, they used to be half that price. Equipment, parts, when something breaks down. Concrete patching. Some of our new construction, some of these bridges that I've showed you that are not part of the TIF program, we pull that out of local. Any work that our guys do, that's out of the local fund. You know, and they're doing such a good job, and they do it for cheaper than hiring somebody out. So this is where our local fund is tight. And so what are we gonna do? And I think I got the next slide on the next page here. This goes to show from when I started, if we just take that, the blue line there is the numbers I found to show inflation. So from 2014 to 24, everything's gone up about 50%. This is also included in the local money is the road use gas tax. You know, you can see we got a big bump there when the state raised the gas tax. We also got a bump during COVID. So the state has done a fairly good job of keeping up with their part of giving us our local money. The orange line is the money we get kind of.
Is this across the state, I would assume, or for Iowa County?
This is Iowa County, that line is here. Now, like I say, when you throw in TIF money on top of that, right, we're good. But that TIF money is, so this is the stuff here that pays for our salaries, that pays for our new equipment, that pays for the rock on some of our gravel roads. When something breaks down, that's this money. So if you were to, how are we gonna get that receipts line where the money, that 1.3 million, we need, and plus the loss, we need to get that number up, which would be about $1.5 million. So the thing that I run through, you know, is okay, how do we make up that difference? How do we do this? So if we go to the next slide, I'll show you how we do that. One, we start using FM money to pay for gravel. Okay, anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000 a year. We can do that. We haven't yet because it's 65,000 a year, but we can probably use FM money to do striping of the roads. But that only gets us so far, right? If we need 1.5 million to make up the difference, that's only $700,000. So here's what I'm thinking too. As I said, we did 6 or 7 projects with our guys in-house. Some of that was TIF this year, but some of that also was local money. I know that we started this TIF money about 3 years ago, so we're coming up on the next round soon on what we can do with that money and expand our TIF area, right? We can do that. I think we need to really look at like encompassing a lot of the county.
I'm not sure if we can.
You can encompass more.
Maybe we can take the whole county in.
You could put every square inch of this county in TIF.
I thought in the first place should have been done, but that costs a lot of money to do that.
Well, in the
When
first
it costs
place,
us
we wanted to
30
focus the money where the windmills were. We wanted to focus our money there. And I'm all for that, right? We did a good job of getting those roads and those bridges. We did a good job. But I do have other bridges that are gonna need replaced. And I like when our guys do them in-house because we can save a bunch of money. So if we do encompass the whole county, we can save 300,000 to 400,000. We can move, I shouldn't say save, we can move 300,000 to 400,000 into the TIF.
You're gonna have to take a break.
I was on a roll.
I
I have a lot
know.
of
You're like butter on a roll.
So Nick,
Well, we've got a public
Why
hearing.
can't,
This public hearing will take like 5 minutes.
Okay.
why can't some of the money from like farm to market or from the TIF go towards equipment? Because that equipment's being used on those roads as well.
I'll have to review, but the equipment then also gets used on non-farm roads.
Right. Tell
TIF, I
Tim.
can't do that.
You tell Tim what.
Oh, Tim come in?
Yeah, let's get that out of the way.
This week, all right, wait. John made him. John did.
Everybody want a sweet roll before he gets going?
I'll see what we.
Standing room only in this place.
So popular.
Is that that seems new. You guys being popular.
I'll make a motion to go to public hearing.
Is there a second?
It's probably for just a short period of time.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're in public hearing. Tim McBean, Iowa County Attorney, selling of Iowa County owned property.
Correct. I'm here today, on a proposal to sell a parcel down by, it's on the north side of the Legion that the county owns. It would need to come before the board. The board would need to basically bring it to matter and make sure there's no objections to it. I know we're on hearing on that, so we want to make sure if there are any objections, that those are raised at this point. We're proposing to sell this ground from the county to the Legion for $5,000. I do have a resolution prepared. I've got all the paperwork prepared to effectuate the transfer of the realty if there are no objections to the matter. So I do need to have the board consider it. I need to have somebody make a motion, second, and then I would ask for a roll call vote on it from the board members.
Come back out of public hearing for that?
What's that?
We have to come out of public hearing to make a motion?
No,
No.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be honored to make a motion for.
Should we wait for, see if we have
I asked her, sorry.
any commentary from the public?
Is there any public comment? There was no written.
You know,
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be honored to make a motion to approve this.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passed. Now we need to pass a resolution.
Here's an extra one. I think I did run an extra one for Brandy too. I never want Brandy to go without.
Do you want us to go out of public hearing now?
Sure, that's fine.
Motion to go out of public hearing?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're out of public hearing. And then this is the resolution. You have to give it a number, right? You get that one. Let me know whenever he's done reading.
process for that too. And that's just the way the money would work on it. It's just 5,000, nothing down, and then 5,000 to the county.
Which fund does this have to go into, anything specific?
So back in the general fund.
Okay.
Is there a motion to pass resolution 2024-12-13, selling the property to the local Legion?
So moved. Second.
Phil? Okay, just a roll call. Alan?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Kevin, aye.
I can get the documents recorded for it. I've got both, so we've got both the quitclaim deeds that just need signed.
This stuff I signed now.
Yeah, you and Brady get to sign that. And we've also got the easement. This is the easement for the sewer clean out there. This goes down to Brandy too. She gets that.
That's for Brandy.
So she doesn't sign this one?
No, not that one.
That's for Brandy.
And I believe we have a check here too.
Yes. Don't spend it all in one place.
Well, sounds like they're gonna put it in secondary roads, yeah. $5,000.
More, I need to have you come up here and sign this as well. Right here, this is that easement we talked about.
Okay.
All right, that's it. I don't need that. You guys can hang on to that.
Do we need to do a budget amendment to bring that in? Or how are we doing it? I'll talk to you later about that, Randy.
I'll take care of getting the documents recorded then too.
Congratulations, fellas.
I want to thank the county for selling us that property. We've been in the new building a year now. It is beyond our expectations, the acceptance and the use we've had. And this extra parking will help us provide better service to the community and to the county. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have an issue with it, we talked earlier about the gravel out there.
Yes.
You can talk to me about that sometime. Because we talked about graveling, so there's not a grass spot between us and the other driveway. We would help out with some of the gravel.
Yeah, you're gonna put some gravel.
Yeah, just let us know when you're done.
Okay, you bet.
That's all I have for you today. Happy
You might
Friday.
be involved.
What's that?
I was telling him about the gravel guy, he might be involved.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Friday the 13th to everyone.
I didn't even think about that.
I did.
One of the things off your plate now.
One,
I'll find you something else.
what's that?
I'll find you something
I
else.
think I just sent you an email the other day on that, that conservation agreement thing that we're dealing with.
Yeah, what the heck? I was gonna ask. Somebody wants to cut wood and they gotta go across their ground or something?
They have to go across just a sliver on the northeast end edge of what the county owns, and I think the conservation board is okay with it, but I sent the agreement to Jacob to look at.
You're okay with it, obviously.
So long as they sign it and are willing to repair the damages. The manager of the corporation wanted to be the one to sign it. I said, no, we can have an officer sign it, not you.
Okay.
So, just so they're on the hook for it if they cause damage. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
too.
Thank you back.
Yeah, we need to take a recess.
You got a hint?
No, I'm.
I'm usually the offender and I'm okay.
I usually get a.
Do you guys want a sweeper? I'll help yourself. There's napkins up there in plates. Did you make them, John?
Yeah.
We can go down quick and keep that stuff. Like, there's
They're
no-
just those
no
roads.
liquor licenses, appropriations, building payroll. Township, Sumner Township Clerk appointment, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Who would we ever get?
Jessica Swindler?
Is that the one, is
Jessica's gonna do it now.
that the one you had in mind?
No.
No.
Is that the one that?
She never got back. Okay,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
thank God off Friday, that's off my plate.
Number 8, we can't do, did you see the email?
Yeah, thank you.
Me.
Becky emailed us, number 8, we can't do.
Yeah, number 8's on.
Because
That person.
She moved.
It was in your email, just got it.
We
Yeah,
got it after the meeting started, so.
Oh, that's good thinking.
Change of plans, she's moving, I guess.
Okay. There, got all that taken care of. Okay, Nick, you want to come back and ask for money again?
Back to it.
Oh, he's gonna do some magic.
So
So,
anyway, we're gonna TIF the whole county.
well, I think that that's something that should be looked at. And then the sooner that you do that, the more, because our local funds are gonna be tight with new equipment and salaries going up. It's just like even the price of things that we got today, that's a lot more expensive than what I'm hoping for.
Because we got to remember that if we tip it all, we make sure that we don't have it, keep it going out to somebody else and double spend it. Does that make sense?
I don't know that you can TIF and build your own in-house bridges. Do you know any other county that's doing that with TIF money?
We've already done it twice.
How did you reimburse yourself for the labor?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we did, but I didn't know if we did labor or not. Okay. Because it's kind of, I don't know, because you had to take out a bond, obviously, as you know, to pay for it, so it almost feels silly to take out a bond just to keep the salaries going. Because that costs money. It costs a significant amount of money every time we do that. In interest, in fees, public hearings, notification. I think, what did we spend, 45,000 on that first round, Brandy, at least? So it's a little, it just seems a little counterintuitive to keep the county afloat by like routing Peter to pay Paul and then pay extra fees on top.
Well,
But that would be a drop in the bucket, Abby, compared to what it would save us over a period of years, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
I'll keep going, so we can talk about,
That, the
We can
later
talk about
discussion,
that
yeah.
It's good. It's-
because I can get into a 20-minute discussion about what we bid out, where the money goes for labor, materials, how we keep it legal, how other, I can go into a long.
We don't have another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do save quite a bit of money when we do the bridges the way we do. And we can whip out, like I said, six or so a year. So if we keep the money coming in, anyway, TIF money or not, we keep the money coming in. These guys are good and they're ready to go and get 12 of these posted bridges off your system as fast as we can get the money.
Nick, let me ask you one question before we turn the page. As far as the TIF being applicable to this, do you or are you aware of any counties in the state of Iowa that have approached this and done and TIFed the whole county? Or would we be the first in the state if we should approach it?
We wouldn't do the
I-
entire county.
Yeah, I haven't looked into how anybody else does theirs, really.
We would exclude our previously TIF areas like Kinsey's and incorporated areas.
I mean, and it wouldn't necessarily, well, we can talk about what we want to do for a plan. We can, whenever that time comes, I'm not saying we gotta do the whole county maybe, it would really help because I got bridges in the northeast part that are going bad,
Right?
and I got bridges in the southwest part that I gotta replace.
I'm
So-
just wondering if, instead of us trying to recreate the wheel, somebody's already done it, we can learn from their mistakes.
I have not studied.
Okay, so it's something to look at going forward.
I'm sure that for every TIF, if there's 100 TIF plans, there's 100 different ones.
Yep.
I'm sure that I have them. The next page kind of, so this is the plan. It kind of goes through 4 of those piggy banks there and how we plan to spend the money. So essentially, if we expand out that TIF, underneath all these local projects, when I say 3 bridges in-house for $500,000, 3 in-house for $500,000, we would try to move that over to a TIF and save our other local money for other stuff. But that is just kind of our plan on what we're gonna be doing. The next page is the upcoming projects. I know that people kind of like to see this. Shows where we're gonna be covering. The purple there, that is actually what we've done over the last summer. I like to put on a map to show that, but the blue there is proposed kind of over the next year or 2, and then the green shows your TIF projects there. So we're kind of hitting up all over the county.
Well, that's the best way to do it.
The amount of colonies, we'll just touch base on this real quick. The current balance is 1 million. We get about 250,000 in receipts. We'll look at G Avenue for next year. I know that at some point too, coming up here, we'll either have to reseal coat or G asphalt wants to put down some GSB material, but we're gonna have to look into some of that stuff.
And those annual receipts, for everybody's benefit, come from,
Road use tax. The Amana Colonies has their own law up there that they have 1,600 residents within that green circle, that green line. And so what usually would come in most counties that goes to the secondary roads, they have their own law written that they get that split off to themselves and it stays within that green area.
road use tax money from the state of Iowa.
They try to treat them like a town.
Yeah.
So when we always hear, oh, Amana gets this and Amana gets that. No, Amana gets this appropriation every year from the state of Iowa.
And what we do.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's just money then that doesn't go in the secondary road.
Right.
Yeah. But it's got an earmark for them. So we'll be looking here in the short, I mean, we usually do something. It's been in $1 million for a while. We've been spending $250,000 up there. At some point here, we'll probably look at doing a bigger project. I think last year we ground down the Expo Road, for the campers. We replaced a bridge that was on both lines. We usually do give them some rock. We did spend a lot of money on rock there a couple weeks ago.
Equipment, you can buy a truck.
They bought a truck. Yep. They now pay for their own snow removal. So. Here's a list of completed projects over the past 10, 11 years. Where we've been throughout the county. So that just kind of goes to show that we've touched all over the place and our guys are, a lot of these were done by our own guys, so they've been working hard. It's a lot of bridges that we've touched and a lot of road there too. So then the other thing, we'll go through these real quick. These were on last year's, or at some point I put this in the presentation before, so this is nothing new, but, things to consider. Fixing equipment, when a transmission goes down or anything like that, that can be $35,000 a time. When you got tracks that go out, or motors that go out on the tracks of a backhoe, $35,000. Snow, we can control the snow, but when you kind of include everything, that comes out to kind of $10,000, can be up to $10,000 per push. Rock, we buy $2 million. We spend a lot of money on rock.
Bless you.
Thanks.
10% increase from last year, that's $200,000, and it's been going up $200,000 every year for the past 5 years. That's a lot of money. And gas can go in either direction. I think we're sitting pretty good right now.
What is that? What's that contract?
I'm working on the contracts for that next week to send out. I think it's usually February 1st that we switch over.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, so we may be looking to lock that in. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody retires, which we are gonna have 5 or 6 retirements in the next couple of years, depending on how much vacation they have saved up. That can be $20,000 a person. And then, like I've said, the income, even our lost money so far this year is down 60,000. It may come back. It may go down. So, if we have another COVID outbreak and nobody's driving, really puts a damper on gas tax. So, just all things that we can, that swing wildly. Large numbers that have wild fluctuations. So. And I do put this sheet on, I put this on a couple years ago. Is there a direction or what do you think that we're doing well? What should we keep going after? Do we need to change our
This would be for homework, not
vision?
today.
Huh?
This is homework, not for today.
Not for today, yeah. So think about it.
We need to keep pushing along.
So,
Do you have magnets now on every road grader?
yeah.
Great.
So next week, if you want to come in, so next week, yeah. People can bring this up next week if they got ideas.
You bring a Christmas present too.
You're gonna bring me a Christmas present?
You said us.
Oh, all right.
Under two on the end.
Under Tuesday.
Can I take one of these for the road?
Alan put these in, you might want to buy one.
Alan needs a new pin.
Yeah, right. Oh, no,
Well, when he finishes his jello, he'll have it back.
Nick,
Yeah.
did you want to mention something about?
Oh, yes, it was on my sheet there. So the DOT, I think, has a new plan this year. If it gets bad, they're gonna close down 80, from what I've heard. I don't think they've worked out all the logistics yet, but I've heard it can be that they might close the whole thing down from Altoona all the way over to Corvo. Okay, I don't know how often they plan on doing that because, I'm gonna say that the first year is gonna be a little bit of learning curve for everybody. But in the event that they do that, let's say they close the road at 5 p.m. All right, we don't do overnight
Yeah,
shifts.
that's what I mean. We're worse off than the interstate is.
So,
Highway 6 is gonna become a landmark.
right. So, Sheriff Roder here has been working with them a little bit to try to get some of these details going. But when we find out a little bit more, or even if we don't find out more, I think that we need to lay out a plan. And that plan is gonna be fluid, right? We're gonna do it the first time that they close it down, depending on what time of day. And I think that there's a good chance that we are gonna alter that plan after the first go round. Here's where all the problems were. But we're gonna need to come up with something. If they close it down in the middle of the night and all of a sudden, I'm not saying cars are gonna get stuck on IWV, but if they close it down at 5, people that wanna go home to Waynesburg, which way are they going? I mean, if the interstate's closed, I doubt they get through IWV in Johnson County, right? No problem with the ditch there, but what are we gonna do? How are we gonna we're just essentially, and I have a feeling, we're gonna be running rescue all night.
The state's foolish because state manages Highway 6. So pick your poison. You want Highway 6, 2-lane, and everybody running up and down the road, or Interstate 80? It doesn't make absolutely any sense.
If I'm already on the interstate, they're gonna make me get off of it?
Their plan is to push people off in certain locations. The closest one would be Coralville.
So they
that's-
wouldn't push them off on us?
No, but you know, you can imagine that if you're westbound, you're heading to Highway 6 or IWP.
Well, they have emergency snow routes posted.
No,
No, it's interstate.
their intent is not to detour traffic. Now just let that sink in.
Yeah, how stupid is this?
They also say that it's gonna be reactionary and not proactive, and that they won't proactively close the interstate. But they contradict themselves because they also say it's gonna be an all or nothing thing. So something happens just maybe a little bit east of Altoona, their intent is to close it down all the way to Coralville. So
Oh,
of course it's proactive.
It varies so much from one end of the state to the other.
Absolutely. They could have a major storm there and
Do nothing here.
yeah, it makes no sense.
Well, I wonder how often they close it up north, what their numbers are.
I don't know.
Typically year.
You mean 35 running north-south?
Yeah, they've had gates up there for 25 years.
The traffic flow is much less.
And the need to close is much greater.
When I left, it was pretty much, if the interstate closes itself, it closes itself.
Yeah, and that happens. It closes itself, but we try to get it open as soon as possible. They can't even tell us like what their duration would be. Like, if you're gonna close it, is it gonna be closed for a minimum so long? They can't tell you. I'm reaching out to them. They're ignoring me right now. I'll let them ignore me until Monday, and then
Has Don Driscoll or Judd Lawler been involved with this conversation?
I've kept, so far I've kept, Dawn involved. This just came, first of all, we were never invited. This board should have been invited to that discussion.
Yep.
Nick should have been invited. I should have been invited. They did not, in the meeting, they said that everyone was invited. That was a pure lie. So I've respectfully asked them to have that meeting again, and this time invite people that are gonna be impacted, and I'm waiting for a response from that.
Are we sure that they intend to close from Altoona to Iowa City, Coralville? Because why would they keep putting up gates at all these exits if they're just gonna, why wouldn't they just do the two then? You know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense to invest all this.
It doesn't make
infrastructure.
any sense, but that, they actually cannot say it. They want to have an all or nothing approach. The other issue is they bought some cookie cutter gates. So common sense would tell you to put the gate at the top of the ramp, so nobody pulls down the ramp. Well, what was it? 16-foot gates?
16-foot.
So they don't install them until it fits. So in some of these, and in the meeting, they absolutely insisted they installed them all at the top of the gates. All you have to do is take a drive and look at them. Some of them are down far enough that you can get 3 or 4 semis parked in there. And that's gonna happen. They're gonna pull down there and then say, oh God, it's closed. And now we're either parking there or we're gonna try to back a semi up onto a secondary road that's already blocked.
You're gonna have to dig them out of there when it stops.
Well, and when the DOT wants to get out there and start working, they can't even get access to it because they made parking lots out of ramps. So it's a mess. I don't believe enough thought went into this. I think that's obvious. I think they just thought they'd throw some gates up. And I completely understand how the interstate does close itself, but we deal with it and we get it back open as quickly as we can. We don't just write it off.
In our Williamsburg DOT shed here, it sounds very cooperative, right? That they're willing to help out when that happens. They're willing to help us out wherever they need. Very, very cooperative. But we're just gonna have to, and it would be nice if you guys were there, is sit down and work this through, right? Okay, we close it down at 5. We got this sort of problem over here. We got this over here. We got to allocate these people, this equipment during the middle of the night. And when we do that, now we don't have those people during the day because of CBLs. I just want to have a sit down think session, because when it does happen, it's going to get messy and there'll be a lot of questions. So as long as we just try to talk everything out and try to just throw out different scenarios, we'll try our best. I mean, the DOT is gonna do whatever the hell they're gonna do. We just have to,
Put up with it.
well, we gotta try to do the best we can. So I just think the sooner we can maybe try to sit down together.
Just let me know, I can try to make it if you want one of those.
Yeah, I can do.
So at some point.
Okay.
Hopefully that point's not tomorrow.
Is Matt over there today?
Yeah,
And you're only taking one roll?
that's right. I haven't watched me eat it.
Slowly.
So you only need one engineer. Hi, Liz.
Hello, how are you?
Well, that's-
I have, that down to Brandy or whatever. I think with your packet, you.
Hey, Nick, I'll give you a call later. The guy from Home Six texted me again.
Okay, sounds good.
We shamed him.
Yep.
So family farm, applications are due November 1st, and then I just bring them to you with, recommendations whether to allow or disallow. So there were 5 applications that were filled out or completed, and the designated person was not related to the owner, for farming, so those would need to be disallowed. And basically, that's all I really have, unless you guys have questions. We had about 26 that are allows, that I'm recommending that be allowed.
I'll make a motion to approve her suggestions for allows and disallows.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
And then I just wanted to check with you guys, trying to get my conference board meeting scheduled. Don't know if you guys have anything on January 29th yet for a meeting.
What day does that fall
It's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, as of right now.
I will be at ISAC's, county supervisor meeting.
Okay. What about the week before that? I didn't know if anybody had gotten theirs.
But are you dealing with all of
Yeah, but I don't have to be there.
Okay. I mean, we can do, I was tentatively looking at the 29th, January 29th, and then February 26th for the second meeting, if those worked and if the room's available. So I just thought I would check with you guys real quick first.
What time are we doing that?
I'll have to, because some of the folks want me to do it later because they have trouble getting to it. So probably, I think we did it at 5, but I think it's gonna probably need to be like 6.
Yeah. So
For,
we gotta find out and get it in here.
Tell me your dates again, Liz.
January 29th
Okay.
and February 26th. Is tentatively what I was thinking, so.
What kind of business is?
Supervisors.
I have you down because.
Is it okay for the room?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, we will.
thank you.
The engineer has it the day before, so you might want to check.
Okay.
And then page to see, I don't know how they'll have it set up. I'm not sure what they're using it for that now.
Okay.
Let's try that.
Okay, it was, oh boy. Okay. May I interrupt a moment, Liz?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Victor Fireworks is supposed to be Saturday and they want to do it Sunday due to the inclement weather. What do we do for approval for something such as this? This is the first time I've ever heard this one.
And then, can we approve it for Saturday day, right?
Yeah.
It's only approve it from Saturday to Sunday. May I get a phone, name and phone number? We'll call you back. We're in the middle of the meeting. Your name and number, your name and number. Chris Kerr. Sure. And your phone number?
I got his number.
Mhm. We'll discuss it and I'll call you at the end of the meeting. Thank you. I gotta go.
The only other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was the phones, and like the plans for getting the messages out that the number has changed specifically, you know, our office is listed in the phone book as Iowa County Courthouse, actually. So we have contacted them, we've changed all of our literature, but I didn't know if the board has a plan for like doing anything to put something in the paper, like these numbers have changed, or if it's on us to do. We've contacted Google, I mean, it's, you know, these numbers are everywhere, so you're trying to, chase them around to make sure that they're updated, but I didn't know.
Website's updated.
The website, yeah, and like, obviously, I have assessment notices going out here soon, for commercial and industrial properties, which will have the new phone number on it, so I'm not really concerned about that. However, if somebody opens up the phone book or Googles it, obviously the old numbers come up, so just.
I had asked to do that and have it posted, but it was met with some resistance, so I don't know. I'd still like to see it posted.
I'm planning to do it, I guess, with my notice that they need to report new construction. I'm gonna put our office's information for the new phone number, but I know that I'm not the only one, you know, that obviously, so.
Well,
We put that in the paper.
That might just mull that idea over. I could draft something up. If we put it in the marketplace, I feel like if it's not on the front page, it just gets tossed. I don't think it's worth putting it in there. But even, could I do one for the Hometown Current and the other two, Winona? An ad about our numbers changing, or if I wrote a column piece or something.
Yeah, and add costume, you can do that too, but, you know, I'll run a column.
Do you guys want me to just write a column piece for the 3 newspapers about it?
Sure.
But we should still put an ad on Hometown Current.
Well, I'll do a column for it, for the Current, and the Pioneer Republican and the Williams.
Or I meant the marketplace, I'm sorry.
You think so?
I do. A lot of people look at that and don't even pick up or buy that paper, right?
Everybody gets the marketplace pretty well.
Right.
I can design an ad too, and I can bring it for next week. You approve
Do
it?
What's the cost for the front page?
$600.
Oh.
I mean, I'm getting ready to put an ad in, like I said, that they need to report by a certain date new construction, and that I'm gonna put my phone information on there, but I don't know, like, that's why I kind of wanted to find out what the plan was, so that.
I think we ought to do it twice, your ad and Abby said. The more when this got brought up a month ago, I asked to do it and I was told, oh no, we got a website, they can pull it up, look at that.
I did run the story, talk to somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Not everybody in this county's got a computer or is computer literate and they have things to do,
Right.
so.
And every single tax statement went out last year with the old phone number.
Yes,
So they will know if, when it comes to March to pay their tax payments and they have a question,
yep,
they will call the old number and it will be cut off.
and
They
they're
won't
already
even have
frustrated.
this number is for now this, because it's shut off before March.
So I sent that email that if there was the possibility of keeping, especially like knowing what my timeline is with assessment notices going out, that's a lot of notices. I mean, I think you'd really hate for a property owner to say that they felt like they couldn't get a hold of us in some way. So like, can we hold off on getting rid of that old number until the protest period is over for them, which would be April 1st? Or,
Won't there be
I'm sorry,
your
May 1st.
assessment notice?
The assessment notice, the top will, but I mean,
I feel like that's education and.
that's enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't bother to read the full piece of paper then.
Right. I mean, the phone calls that we receive, obviously, they're expecting us to
Yeah.
basically go knock on the door and tell them exactly what it's gonna be. So I just get worried about them feeling like they can't get in touch with me to
Yeah,
do what they need to do. But it will be on their assessment notice. Yes, we haven't generated them yet.
yeah. I feel like if you can read the number saying, you know, that what your price tag is on your house, you can read the number of calls, so.
Okay. All right, so that's all I have. Brandy, I gave you like the addresses of all of the people and everything, so if you let me know if you need anything else with that. I think it's on that spreadsheet too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, okay.
Mr. King, come on up. Kane Robinson, Iowa County Compensation Board Chairman. How big a cut you giving everybody?
Pardon?
How big a cut are you recommending?
A very significant cut, 50%. That concludes our.
Perfect. Start with a quarter.
Motion adjourned. And the quarter was the tough one.
I thought that was motion.
Pass these things.
Did you get my draft minutes that I sent Saturday meeting?
I'm sorry, what?
The draft minutes, did you get a copy of those?
I don't know anything about draft minutes. I drafted these.
Okay, I sent them, that was part of my duty or whatever, so I took the minutes.
It was?
Yeah. Brady's always done the minutes, haven't you? Yeah. So I sent them out to everybody, the entire comp board for you.
Well. Okay.
Is this where we ask questions or?
I guess I'd like to make a couple comments if I
Yes, sir.
might, and then I'll try and answer any questions that you have. We of course had a meeting of the board, and I was elected to chairman. Mr. Boland was elected vice chairman. Normal procedures were conducted, a roll call, all present. An agenda was approved. The purpose of the meeting was to develop salary material and present it to the Board of Supervisors. It was pointed out that some of the law was modified in 2024, that's this year. We're not lawyers, so that particular part of it is not our province, but we do call it to your attention. The 2024 law required examination of various salaries in cities and counties in the state and federal government, private enterprise, which have comparable duties, responsibilities, and there were other directives, for example, pertaining to the sheriff. Members were, of course, there, and we dealt with the salaries of the county attorney, auditor, recorder, sheriff, county supervisors, and treasurer. Various representations were made by each member, including supporting materials. I think it's fair to say that the officers examined are regarded as significant executives of the county. Then member Mr. Claypool, an attorney, made a superseding motion of salary for the compensation board to present to the board of supervisors, adopted 6 yes and 1 no. It's presented today, and that's the next page, which I'll discuss in a moment. I believe the meeting of the board was legally and properly conducted. On December 5, 2024, 11 a.m., all the members were present. An agenda was followed. Chairman and vice chairman elected. Business to be conducted was agreed on. Previous minutes of the old board was approved with an asterisk because the old board was dissolved entirely and a new board created, even though it had the same people. So there's question as to whether there's continuity of the legal status of the committee. It's certainly a legal committee, but there's a break between the old one and the new one because you created a new board. And the salaries and the duties were performed. As a result, a resolution was prepared, which is included here to present to the board. Each member spoke. and presented salary information. The officers were regarded of good reputation and high quality. That's a significant thing when you're representing salaries. There were people that seemed to know what they were doing in the county, and that was noted. Members of the compensation board are experienced persons qualified to make these examinations. I don't think I have to get into their qualifications, but we did, and so we thank the board for receiving the presentations. And if there are any questions that I'm capable of answering, I'll try.
Okay. The sheriff deal, no offense. Are we gonna be there when we're there, that now? So let's say we give you say you get the 15% this year. Is this a carrot we chase forever? Will you ever be, so if we give everybody else 6% next year or 5%, will you be at that or you
No,
just?
you can actually look at the counties that did do that initially, they're getting cost of living raise. I mean, it's always up to you, of course, but if you look at other examples.
But I mean, to follow the law that is written, is it hard to ever get to more equitable to everybody else in the county per se?
Well, the only disadvantage we have is, and this goes for all of the salaries, is you're kind of chasing last year's salary. And that's just a product of the information you have in your hands. But no, like I say, if you look at other examples of where there's been catch-up, subsequent raises have been.
Have they been in line with the rest of the county though, pretty
Yeah.
much?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm kind of worried about.
But to your point, Kevin, the last 2 years, the salary recommendation was solely the Iowa State Patrol Lieutenant Greg Obink at 100, he's now at 132,000. But this year it was decided to average in cities of population of similar size to our county and their police chief's salary. So is there ever going to be a real, theoretically, is there ever going to be a real stop? Because we could just keep chasing more and more different salaries and it could never be done.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah.
That's just simply not accurate, because when Back to Blue happened, that told us exactly who to compare to. So these last 2 years, and now this third year, we were using the same comparables. Nothing's changed in the last 2 years, now 3 years.
But the Back to Blue language didn't change with 2442. The comp board language changed, but not the comparison for the salary. For the last 2 years, the suggested salary was Greg Obink's at 132,000, exactly match him.
I think if you look back at the recommendations, since Back to Blue was passed, it has been, because it specifically tells us to do that. It says cities of like size and county, and that's exactly what that recommendation was the last 2 years and now in the third year.
These same salaries were presented in the past, no matter what anybody says. I did it, and that's the truth. And if anybody wants to argue it, it's silly, because I made the presentation.
I
don't think I'm arguing with you.
I'm not saying you're arguing with me. We're hearing an argument about something that's ridiculous. These are the things that were in the law. We follow the law, and we present them. And I believe yours includes all of the various officers. The sheriff is a little different. And we're not mad at anybody. We're presenting it. Someone apparently thinks we're doing the wrong thing. I'm not going to engage in that argument.
I will clarify that I'm not arguing. I'm not saying that anybody's done anything wrong. I will stand that last year's salary recommendation was Greg Obink's salary. That was the recommendation by Mr. Robinson. I have the paperwork from last year. I have the minutes. I will stand by that, but I'm not here to argue it either. My final question is regarding when the city police departments and their police chiefs were decided to be used. I understand our county has, well, I have the numbers, 16,381 people, and the numbers that were used were about that amount. They were like 15,000, I think one was like 12,000. But shouldn't we be taking into account that we have Ringo and Williamsburg PDs that takes off about, well, it takes down to about 10,626 people. Shouldn't we be governing and comparing to cities of that population or not?
I can answer that question if you can.
Well,
My answer is that we were given guidance to look at a number of salaries in the state of Iowa and in cities and in the federal government and in private enterprise. We did that. In looking at the federal government, the only salary that seems to jump out at us is the salary of the United States Marshal, who is the analogous to the sheriff. $190,000 is his salary. Now, we did not include that because it almost seems ridiculous, but that's what the law said to do. I noted here for you, but we didn't include that it would be inappropriate, I think. And in looking at the salaries of people, of officers in surrounding states, which was contemplated by the law, it's extremely difficult without a large staff to identify a sheriff in a county in Wisconsin or in Illinois or somewhere else, and then decide whether that sheriff has a jail, whether that sheriff has a civil division, whether they have all these other things, how many employees they have, and what their duties are. So it was not regarded as a mandatory thing, as a guide for us to look at. In looking at the outside areas, that is outside of Iowa, it seemed it would require a very extensive and expensive investigation to find other officers that had exactly the same or very similar responsibilities to the sheriff. For example, many don't even have a county jail. Many of them are in the United States are merely court officers. So there's a wide variety of differences. So we took the senior state officer that seemed to have duties approximately like the sheriff, which of course we could have taken a captain, we could have taken the chief of the patrol and other people. We didn't. We took Lieutenant Obling, who was the lowest of those that were available, at 132,000, and we took chiefs of police of cities that were approximately like this area, and we added those in, and that's how the salary was arrived at, and I believe that's what the law required us to do. And so that's the best answer I can give you now.
I think what Kevin's kind of getting at is, can we get to that spot where everybody gets the same, raise?
Well, we can't because one of these other guys in the formula may get a bigger raise than we're offering everybody else. That's how we get kicked.
And it's too ambiguous and vague what we're comparing to. So while it might say, we're comparing to this, salary XYZ right now, well, we have a whole alphabet of letters to compare to. So who's to say that we don't start comparing to another one? It's too vague and ambiguous to where there's always a case to be made for a different raise.
Well, that's why we have a compensation board. You gotta make that decision.
But going forward, like you're talking about, like if we do get there, and then if we did get rid of it, then that's up to us. But
it's just hard for me to wrap around. I mean, it's not hard, but I'm just, I came from a career of 31 years where I never got more than a 3% pay raise in a year. But I understand what the back of blue says.
Well, that's what happened. I can remember when I first started, there was a property tax freeze for 3 years. State Patrol got a raise because the state of Iowa limited local taxes, but at the same time passed a sales tax increase. And troopers got a sizable raise that year. It was back in the 90s. So that's when it all started, and it just got further and further apart to the point where the legislature had to step in. Now, to add more to Abby's point about the Obing, she's correct in that was the low salary that we asked for, specifically stating that even though the code says, look at this, we used the lowest one to compare to for the last 2 years, and it didn't fly. So now we're just, because the way the code reads, we're just averaging that. We did not cherry pick. There was one in there that was far less. That was part of that average. But we follow the law exactly the way it's written and that's all we can do. That's what the code tells us to do. So,
I would point out, Mr. Chairman, that you can look at the question of state trooper salaries, and you can pick a captain, which we didn't do. You could find cities that have far higher salaries, which we didn't do. We picked those that were approximately like Iowa County. And we did the best we could in that regard. Like you, I had raises also. I negotiated raises for the city of Des Moines Police Department. And our raises are very high compared to many other places. That's not what this is. And we complained about salaries all the time, but it seemed to work out in the end with the right kind of evaluations. In any event, these cities and the trooper seem to be in the low area, but comparable to Iowa County. And that's why they were listed and that's why they're presented. We could have picked many higher cities in Iowa. We could have picked a trooper captain or something like that. We did not do that. We tried to be reasonable and present the lower end of salaries. And that, I think that you'll find that true for the other county officers.
Have you used the same cities the past 3 years?
The time I've been here, we have.
Okay, so yeah, you've used the same.
But for clarity, those cities were not figured in the requested raise. The requested raise specifically was to match Officer Obie as.
and you're right, but the comparables were included in the presentation.
Yes.
We just took the lowest one, thinking that would be the easiest to deal with, and it turned out not to be. And now we're in the third year, and I've got to deal with Union, who has, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the county, it was the county's idea to link the deputies to my salary. And now they're not getting the raise that the code says. So that's a problem. And I've got to deal with that. And I wish there was a way that I could give them raises without me sometimes, but this is the contract that this board, or at least, I don't know if everyone's the same, started with the deputy sheriffs, and they're scratching their heads wanting to know why Back the Blue isn't being followed now for 2 years and possibly 3. And as a union, they'll do what they do. I can't speak for them, but I think there's some angst building there.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that clarification as to why things changed this year. That's all I was trying to inquire, why we switched what we were doing.
I think it's a difficult job, and I appreciate you putting it together the way you did. I mean, it's.
As regards the law, it also asked that we compare salaries of private businesses in the area. And looking at that, frankly, it seems a little ridiculous.
I don't know how you would.
Because I'm looking at them, car implement dealers, hardware stores, heating and home, all of those will have salaries 2 or 3 times what the sheriff has. The owners of Capper car dealership, for example, I'm not talking about these people as individuals, but it's pretty obvious that their salaries are significantly higher than people that are the chief executive officers. So we noted that, but did not put those kind of salaries in.
Nobody's gonna tell you anyhow.
Sir?
Nobody's gonna tell you anyhow.
Well, you can figure it out. It doesn't take a genius as a cop. I can figure out how much they make. That's not required. But it would be completely inappropriate, I think, to put salaries of $250,000 or something in here. That's not what we're trying to do. So the point I'm trying to make is that we fix salaries that are in the lower area. Readily available salaries that were higher, both the highway patrol and the other local police and other things that were higher, that we could have used in those averages and did not. And as regards federal officers, simply putting the United States Marshals in, about twice we're talking about, we did not do that, but we do know what the salary is. So we think.
I guess my wish going forward, like, I would like at least consideration of taking out the population of the 2 police departments and figure the population comparing to other cities to me, that makes the most sense. I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate this being the, you were assistant police chief, right, of Des Moines, like, I just did the rough numbers here. There's about 818,000 people in Polk County, but 709,000 of them live in the metro. But should we give the sheriff of that county a salary of what would that be, like Chicago PD, police department? I don't even know what a town would be of 818,000. He's really only governing 110,000 people, because there's the city police departments. And I think that's a similar concept to here. We have the Marengo PD and we have the Williamsburg PD to govern their towns. So the rural population in the towns that we contract with is only 10,626 people. So that's just my suggestion. Going forward, you can take it with a grain of salt or.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at the verbiage in there and what it says you have to do though.
Well, it seems to me though that Iowa County, we just had a big discussion of the interstate, maybe it's gonna be a giant problem. And it runs through Iowa County. That's different than some counties. In proximity to Iowa City and Cedar Rapids has a lot of impact on Iowa County. There are murder bodies found in Iowa County recently. This is just one of the things that happens when you are close to bigger cities. And in spite of that, we did not pick cities that are right next door. We picked rural, small areas that are approximately similar, and that's what came up with this salary. We didn't compare it to salaries in Des Moines or the Polk County Sheriff, which makes a hell of a lot more money. There's no question about that. So I thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from Mr. Robinson at the time? Or any of the other officers here that they want to say anything?
I did do the rough price tag if there's other commentary on this, if the board would like to know.
Well, we can speak to that after if Mr. Robinson wants to get going.
Yeah, if anybody else stay for it or whatever, it doesn't matter.
I would point out that we dealt with not only just with the sheriff, the other officers, of course, in the motion, and they were, their salaries are in that report. And I think it's fair to say that the board considered that they were all high-quality people and deserving of those salaries.
And I thank you for your time and effort put into this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, King.
Thanks.
Okay, now you can tell us.
Price tag? Of just the electeds, they're tied employees, just what the comp board suggested, not including the increase in IPERS, FICA, this is just straight salary number, $260,000 roughly more. Then if we do what we've always done, which is give the salaries recommended for the auditor, recorder, and treasurer to the rest of our employees, that price tag is $480,000, bringing the total to $740,000, which we raised $9.9 million in property taxes last year. On a property tax basis, it's not quite 100% like tit for tat, just because of the engineer's office not pulling 100% property tax funds for their department, but just a rough idea, it'd be a 7.5% in property taxes alone just to cover these wages.
Increased property taxes, 7.5%. Is that what you said?
Because part of the reason we fell behind, in my opinion, is a couple of years ago, it was a 9% cost of living and we gave 6%. There's a 3% this year, so there's 6%.
But there were years that we gave more.
I don't know if we ever gave more the cost of living.
I think we did. I have to look, but either way, I mean, to sign off on this, it'd be,
No, this isn't, we're not signing off to
well, I
anything.
know, but I'm just letting you guys know, like, that's.
This is a thought process.
And well, the COVID year too, we were minimized on our increases, I will say that.
But the department has to put in the budget, right?
Yeah.
So what number are they gonna use?
No, we don't have.
Budgets for now.
Well, anybody that's not specifically listed in here should be using the 7% for the.
That was part of the compensation report.
We can tell people what they put into their budget to get a trial run.
Well, Brandy already sent that email out, she should be getting budgets back already.
Okay, that's what you told everybody already? Oh, no, we didn't that.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, that's with no other increases to anything else.
Maybe one of the utility companies will hit oil.
And I do have everybody's documentation for the comp board that will go in the file downstairs, because that's part of the new laws. The documents, everyone had to show their work. So I printed everything off from everyone and I have it here, so if anybody wants to see the exact numbers, I have it.
Okay, even though it's not open forum, if you guys, officers, want to speak of anything? Say anything?
Can I just make a suggestion? Like, Abby just figured all those numbers, so you guys obviously have a number in your head of what the raises are gonna be. Can you not send out the budget sheets and have us figure everything until maybe after you have a
We don't
better
know.
number for us to
Well, we
figure?
don't have a number until we know what the number, I mean, in my opinion, we don't know until we know.
And with the
Then
different,
How do you get all these?
the problem is too, so we have different funds, like some of the auditor's offices employees, they come from supplemental because they're elections. We have different funds that affect things differently. The sheriff's deputies that are on law enforcement are coming out of rural services. So I don't have an accurate number of what fund, how each fund is gonna be able to handle each thing until we get that. We also don't know what else everyone else is asking for. Is someone asking for, new flooring in their office or whatever it might be, to know that how that will all tie into it.
It just is a lot of time for us to do our budgets,
I
Yeah,
know, but
to do it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
we're taking a blind shot in the dark otherwise.
Also, it's a blind shot in the dark to say 7.5% tax, or we have to increase taxes, so.
well, I just did the number, I did the amount of employees, the dollar amount of employees for each office times the percent, found the difference. I know everyone except for the engineer's office is 100% funded by property tax revenue. So.
Is there any factor in as what the revenues from increased valuations and what the new revenue stream would be? Because aren't you right now comparing it to current revenue streams?
I'm not comparing it at all to valuation, because either way, if valuation goes up and we keep the same levy rate, that's still an increase in property tax, so that doesn't really matter. This is gonna require $740,000 more dollars in
I
a
understand
budget.
that, but you were saying that it would be an increase, if I understood right, that it was an increase in property tax. But we really wouldn't know that until we know what the revenue is. Am I not correct?
You're correct in the fact that they're not considering new construction.
Right.
So there's new players in the game that are not being figured into that.
Yeah, not a lot. How much would you say? Like,
I mean, there is new construction in the county, there's commercial, new construction, I mean, there is stuff. I don't have that number here. I
yeah,
wasn't
it's not,
prepared for that,
it's
but
not a
yeah.
whole ton every year though. And last year our valuations ended up going down after the rollback. So, I mean, trying to mess with valuation, try to figure that in, that's not really feasible either. But just as a rough idea, $740,000, and comparing it to what we raised last year is about the closest thing I can get.
Anybody else? Okay. Any other, anything for next week's agenda? I got Dylan down for next week, you got.
So it's my understanding that there is this, and if Rob can head up a bit, it's my understanding there is a generator now left over from the kitchen, the old kitchen, is that right? Is there an extra generator hanging around out there?
It's sitting over in Dylan's building.
Yeah, there's one over there.
Okay, so I've been approached by Legion about purchasing that generator for that Legion. And they would like to use it and then use it as a destination should we have a blackout or traumatic event, a tornado, whatever. And so do you know, or does Josh, perhaps we could talk to him? Is there something that we could do to get evaluation on that and see if it's an approachable item instead of sitting there collecting dust and we could sell it.
Yeah, I would think that might be a question for Mr. McNean, but I would think that you'd have to sell it at public auction. That's the only way I've ever known to sell it.
Yeah, it would have to be sold.
So if we could get it going or get it moving forward so that they could have potential to acquire that. Because my understanding, the generator is in fairly decent shape.
I think so.
Yeah,
It's just not big enough to accommodate any needs that we have.
so perhaps we could put that on the agenda to visit with Dylan about next week. Mr. Chairman?
Can you have that?
Anything else?
We need to put on my ad and the article you guys wouldn't need to approve, I wouldn't think. The thing, whatever, we can put them both on there.
I'm not even sure if I need to prove it.
This is where our main.
Well, is,
That way it gets in faster.
is Liz going to put her ad next week?
I'm sorry.
What are you gonna put your ad in for the phone and?
It's gonna run 2 times. It'll just, I'll have to check. Mercy's actually working on it and I'll have to check to see if we've gotten the proof, but it is supposed to run, I believe, starting in the end of December and then,
So if it could coincide with Abby's
yeah.
thing and.
I mean, I think the
Whatever.
more times they see it, the better. So if yours goes out first, it's just gonna also be on mine but I was only gonna focus on my phone number. So that's why I was kind of thinking for,
And then do I pay for an ad?
like,
too?
if we're all doing it individually, that kind of gets,
Well, that's why I said we would just take care of it. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna put it on
Yeah,
mine for,
yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Do we, wait, do you want to just give Abby authority to put the ad in so we don't have to worry about visiting it next week? Can we do that?
Oh, we gotta talk about this fireworks thing too.
Well, let's go back to the ad. Can we give it just, otherwise it's gonna be another week out.
Just give her creative control over it.
I don't wanna do the big one and spend a bunch of money. I'm thinking, yeah.
Is extending the number 1 month, is that per line that you have to pay extra dollar amount? Or can we just extend this through the end of March? That would take care of it and then we wouldn't need an ad. That's my question. How much will we spend on ads and how much will we spend extending the phone numbers to roll over for 1 more month?
I thought it's already in the process. They've already started it,
Started what?
the rollover with the number.
they
Right.
did, but.
But in February, if you call my old number, it will cut you off, is what my.
So the old numbers are still working yet?
Yes.
They will until February 1st is what,
I guess I understood it was it was per number.
I thought it was too.
Yeah.
Then it would be more expensive to keep the numbers for another 2 months, then you're right.
I thought Josh said it was around $500 a month to port those numbers or keep them on, but I'm not 100% sure
I
on
think
that.
he's right. He said it'd save us $4 something a month once we went to this.
So if we're gonna spend
Yeah.
$1,200 on ads, why wouldn't we just?
I was looking at like
extend
200 if that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then the one that goes in the paper will be free, so.
Okay.
In that paper, so it'll be fine.
So is there a motion to have Abby do the ad then next week?
I don't know if we can act on it, but
So
just,
moved,
We'll bring it.
There's be consensus probably.
consensus.
yeah.
Yeah, consensus that Abby does it, because that way we don't have to wait another week and get it going.
Yeah.
Because then you get Christmas in the way too.
I'll get that hopefully to you for your part today. Is that okay?
Can we do it today and put it in next Wednesday?
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Hare's request.
I don't think we can change it once we've approved the part, without a new application or amendment. I know.
Should I call Tim quick?
Public.
So we're gonna approve this.
That's just the mileage.
Okay.
And she got the correct documentation for it.
Yeah, I called him.
Yeah, I would. You wanna go into recess?
I don't care.
she got back to me and it says, I sent a set of hotel motel receipts to auditor's office, treasurer's office, which covers everything from November 23 to June 24 on Wednesday. The treasurer did mention waiting to file everything until claims. On the 19th, I will be sending another set of 4 to 5 months, July 24 through October, November 24, which will bring us close to being completely up to date. I will be holding back a month or two, so.
Why is she,
Yeah.
why doesn't she just do them at once?
I
Because the auditors are having a not good time.
Yeah, they get a permit and it's set a specific date.
Is
It's
it
for
gonna be
Saturday,
like-
but they're worried about the ice storm.
Oh, and I know
Want me to
they
forward
don't
it?
exit, but there were like 4 comments for conservation.
Well, they're worried about the ice storm, we're moving to the different day.
Well, that's fine.
The next day.
One was the excise, one was the, balance
There's a
that they
form,
have.
Right now, correct?
Uh-huh.
they don't come in, they send a letter in.
Is it out of whack with,
It was a very large balance.
they got too much negative on yet?
Yeah, it all got approved, it's no big deal. So we didn't know if we could just come to a consensus to allow them to change it or not.
Well, I think it's rent money,
That would be Reed.
and she should have talked to the auditor. I'm pretty sure that.
So then we should refuse it and just let them do what they want to and.
If she
if they
talked to
complain.
both of them, but I know there were conversations.
People in the loop, if there's something I need to get on about.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, bye. Well, that was the other 10.
Oh, is that Tim Epsey?
You don't think we should allow it?
He doesn't think we should.
Yeah, because it hasn't been published and it was all in the paperwork we signed and,
I know.
yeah, that's when we say, well, I didn't know they changed the date.
We're still on recording, right?
Yeah. Is there anything else besides that? We can get on the agenda board for him to call me back.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're here.
There you go.
All right.
So